Guys, we're back again. Rochefoucauld watches and things. Today, YouTube's favourite Seiko SNA411, street name Flightmaster. Most of us have come across this one at one time or another. Budget chronograph from Seiko with those reality defying dimensions. Last few years found lots of fame on YouTube because of that. Availability is kind of come in and out really. You can find them sometimes they disappear for months on end. This is my own personal Flightmaster, 42 across the bezel. That fantastic 44 lug to lug. 13mm to the top of that. Domed Hardlex glass. It's about 11.5 to the top of the bezel. .21mm lug width, which can be a bit of a drag. As usual, constituent parts are all constructed out of 316L stainless steel, and this time we are housing the Seiko quartz module 7T62. Let's have a look at the case back. There's not a great deal to look at, to be honest. Plain screw down case back. Plain, almost entirely high polished case, not much detail, not much going on, to be honest. There's a little bit of brushing on the top of the lugs, and there is a bevel on that under edge. It does come on a bracelet. It's not very good. I've not worn mine once, to be honest. It's sitting in the box back home in the UK. Luckily I found this 21mm black elastic paratrooper style strap, which you may possibly agree goes an absolute treat. Screw down crown. Screw down pushers, allowing for 200 meters of water resistance, which is pretty impressive considering the amount of holes that have been cut in this case. Bezel. Smooth, no clicks there, smooth bi-directional to allow for the functional use of this rotary slide rule, a kind of basic flight computer, if you will. If you do have the knowledge, you can use this and the markings around the face of the watch to do all sorts of computations, speed and altitude and fuel consumption, conversions of volume and distance. But probably like you, I don't know any of these, how to do them, and rather like the dive watches that we love so much. The functionality is pretty much defunct because of newer and better technology, but the styling remains, and that aviation and pilot style watch is acquired, but certainly very nice in lots of regards. Let's see if we can come in and have a look at this dial a bit better. Obviously we've spoken about that aluminium insert on the bezel. The markings continue on this sloped, well, inner bezel, I guess. Does give it lots of depth. The busyness continues on the 1/5 of a second hash marks on the chapter ring, and continuing numerals for the slide rule. We do have 3 subdials, running seconds at the 9, 60-minute chronograph counter at 12, and a 12-hour alarm or second time zone at the 6, depending on how you set it using the crown. I have mine on a second time zone, extremely useful. We also have a really nice cutout date window at the 3 o'clock. It's pretty small, but I guess you only need to see it once in a day, so I appreciate the fact that it's there. Loom, you'll see on the non-cardinal marks, so 3, 6, 9 and 12 are missing any loom or indexing. Hands, fairly basic but nicely polished with lots of space for luminescent material. You can see the yellow chronograph hand again with a loom triangle, ticking along at a much smoother than normal quartz frequency. The yellow theme is continued with the hand of the 60-minute counter. The other 2 subdials just have pretty basic, plain polished stainless steel hands, nothing to write home about. No facets, no bezels. Not sure there's any AR coating on the hardlex to speak about, but there is that distortion that so many people like. It's strange really, I mean it kind of throws off any reading of the time at certain angles, but it does, I guess, lend to a bit of visual interest. All in all, a really affordable and aesthetically interesting timepiece. Let me just stick it on. Remember, it is a 42mm case, but as we're about to see, even though it's a 42mm case, it wears much smaller than that because of the 44 lug to lug, which is kind of unusually squat for a case diameter of 44mm. In fact, as we come to our conclusions, the positive certainly is the fit of the watch, the lug to lug, the sloping inner bezel, which kind of turns a really rather wide diameter into quite a small actual focus or face of the watch. The price is another positive. If you can get it at its retail price, you're doing quite well these days. In the last year, I guess I've seen them anywhere from $160 to $300 and more. It has a lot of potential usefulness if you do learn how to use all of the calculations, and certainly for me that two-handed second time zone functionality on the 6 o'clock subdial is really worthwhile for me. Negatives, or things that may not go down so well with everybody: it's certainly very busy. There's lots going on the bezels, on the face. If you're not into that aviator chronograph look, then yeah, it's probably going to be too much for you. 21mm lugs, a drag because, as previously mentioned, the standard Seiko bracelet is not much cop. Try and grab one of these though, because it does look an absolute treat on there. The case is very plain. There's not much thought being put into the case or the case back. Although working okay for this video, sometimes these screw down pushers can be a bit sticky, but generally, if you're into the styling, I mean, why not pick one up? Yes, they're pretty ubiquitous these days, but for the money, for the functionality, for the styling, for the size, for the wear, yeah, you know, a good addition to everybody's collection. So there it is, guys. Rochefoucauld watches and things. The Seiko SNA411 Flightmaster. We'll see you again for the next one. Okay, sorry, forgot again. As mentioned, we do have some Lumibright on the dial, so let's just go out with a shot of that luminescence. Again, Rochefoucauld watches and things. See you in the next one. Cheers now.